There are fewer than 30 men in the world qualified to drive Formula One. A mere half dozen, perhaps, to win. At this moment, I'm inclined to think you're not one of them.
No, you want to. Keep up the good work, and there you have it. There you go. With the qualifying.
Welcome to F1Weekly.com. My name is Clark Rogers. I'm the host of the program. I'll be joined by Nasir Hamid, my co-host. This is podcast number 1069, November 11th, 2024. Nasir.
Thank you, sir. We start with question of the day. Is Lando a Swiftie? Love letter in the Arabian sand. Jack in the box. We shall explain gladly with curly fries. Back to you, Chief.
Thank you, Nasir. On today's program, NASCAR Hall of Famer Bobby Allison dead at 86. Audi F1 for sale before they even get started. Toto says he tried to speak to Massey to knock some sense into him. And Lewis can't wait to get this Mercedes thing over with. And this week's interviews, we have Myles, Rowe and Callum Hedge, both IndyCar NXT drivers. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we do need your contributions to keep this program on the air. Just click on the Support F1 Weekly tab. You know you want to. I want to thank Costanza Tedesco. Thank you very much. We do appreciate it. Nas, welcome to the studio. I know you've been around, you've gone around. How's everything going?
Well. I am making preparations for LVGP, the beautiful Las Vegas Grand Prix. Very happy to say that I finally got confirmation from an F1 team, in this case Haas F1, that Mr. Nico Hülkenberg will meet me for 15 minutes on November 20th. And this being Vegas, our meeting will start at 8:45 p.m. Very interesting. We first interviewed the Hulk at Mugello. I believe it was in 2008 when he was in F3 Euro Series and managed by a gentleman by the name of Willie Weber, famously known as Michael Schumacher's Mr. 10%. Nico's achievements were the same as Lewis Hamilton in Junior Formula A. He was F3 champion and, like LCH, won GP2 championship in his first season, which is really the requirement this day and age to get a seat in Formula One. Since then, their paths have gone in different directions. Despite having started 224 Grand Prix races, that's more than Alain Prost's total of 199 GPs, Hülkenberg has not been able to make it to the podium because of red mist, blue mist, and whatever excuse you can throw. Highlight of his F1 career was that wonderful pole position in the wet, or almost wet situation in Brazil in 2010. He also won the Le Mans 24-hour race in his first attempt in 2015, like another current Formula One driver. Who could that be? As can be expected, I have received quite a few NOs from different teams, but we keep trying. Grown men like to go and enjoy Vegas, so I am hoping quite a few racing personalities will be there, and hopefully some of them will have time or a few minutes for little people. Mr. Rogers, frankly speaking, last year I had a lot of concerns about the Vegas Grand Prix based on what happened in the parking lot of Caesar's Palace back in the day. But Liberty Media sure knows how to put on a show, especially in a destination city. Did you enjoy the spectacle we had last year, apart from the manhole cover disaster for Carlos Sainz Jr. and his red Ferrari?
I did enjoy it. It was exciting, except for the hours. I mean, everything was in the middle of the night. Once again, it's like an old bar. You never want to see the interior during the daytime because it's scary. Apparently, that's the case in Vegas, so everything is always at night. And yes, 8:45, that's going to be early for them, Nasir. You're going to enjoy that interview. Good old hulky boy. But yeah, you're going to have fun. You're going to have champagne, caviar, naked, everything you want, Nasir. You're going to love it.
Next, we move on to kill or be killed. That is the law of jungle and Formula One. Sometimes, from Serengeti to Sao Paulo, the hunter becomes the hunted, as we saw in the last Grand Prix. Martin Brundle said on Sky Sports about his compadre Lando Norris, who had started the race from pole position and finished sixth. He said, and I quote, "Sometimes you wonder if he lacks the killer instinct up against Max, who we know can be pretty brutal in combat." End quote. Well, when it comes to ruthlessness, Max is on the Carly Simon program. Nobody does it better. In my humble opinion, I have to say Lando is nowhere near Max in terms of aggressiveness, but at the same time, Lando is no Valtteri Bottas. And you can also look at situations like Kimi Raikkonen was not as aggressive as Senna and Schumacher, but you don't have to be as long as you can get the job done. True tests will come when Lando has the unfair advantage, the package that Max had last year, Lewis had for many years at Mercedes, and the dominant car all great drivers drove to tremendous success. Then we will find out where's the beef. But I have to say, if that day comes where McLaren has a car head and shoulders above the competition, and in that scenario, Lando's cage is rattled by Oscar Piastri and the Aussie made do to him what Jenson Button did to Rubens Barrichello at Braun GP, then I will be singing I Can See Clearly Now. What say you, amigo, on Lando being a Swiftie?
Well, that topic I've brought up myself a number of occasions on this show, and sure enough, it's obvious. He's a nice guy. It starts in the family. You don't see Lando's dad freaking out, pulling his hair out. Max comes from a special world of racing. Even his mom is a great driver. So it's tough. The killer instinct doesn't come around that often. That's what makes it so special. Don't get me wrong. I think Lando is great. I think he's wonderful. He should just embrace being a nice guy, because being a jerk, I don't know, you might get a couple of more world championships, but you know what? Sometimes it's better just to be cool. Right, Nasir?
Now we move on to Love Letter in the Arabian Sand. Slings and arrows continue on and off the track. GPDA, Grand Prix Drivers Association, under the dynamic leadership of President George Russell, has launched a Raytheon torpedo against the FIA and its president, Mr. Mohammed bin Sulayem. Now, they have recently sent a letter which was in response to the recent brouhaha over the use of foul language, and here is a part of that letter. I quote, We urge the FIA president to also consider his own tone and language when talking to our member drivers, or indeed about them, whether in a public forum or otherwise. Further, our members are adults. They do not need to be given instructions via the media about matters as trivial as the wearing of jewelry and underpants. End quote. Sounds like Ben Sulayem is trying to get his hands on their hands. Nobody is gonna like that. Mr. Rogers, would you like to throw a cherry on this fruit of the loom situation?
Well, thanks for the pun, Nasir. But indeed, I'm glad the GPDA has risen up and spoken out, and under George's leadership, I applaud his memos and everything else, because he's absolutely correct. The whole thing was distracting, unnecessary. So kudos for the GPDA. I think they're doing fine work. And once again, they came and helped protect Max. I know it doesn't sound like that, but they did deep down inside. So I liked it.
Now we come to Jack in the Box. This story is from Australian website speedcafe.com, which I check regularly. According to them, Jack Doohan's F1 career at Alpine may be over before it starts. Gee, this is Formula One, why am I not surprised? And this could be due to the Colapinto effect. Looks like Alpine is now also interested in the Argentine ace. According to Speed Cafe, Jack Doohan is guaranteed only 5 races, the first 5 races of the 2025 season. Then the team will evaluate him and decide on future plans. And when they say team, we already know who they are talking about. Carlos Slim, who has helped Checo stay in Formula One, is also interested in helping another fellow Latino get into and stay in the pinnacle of motor racing. Colapinto has become the new Coca-Cola, the real thing. Once upon a time, Nick de Vries drove a Williams at Monza and became an instant Holly, everyone's darling in the back room. This season, Franco Colapinto drove a Williams. Now he's much in demand. James Vowles thinks he's a keeper, but there's a prize for everything. $20 million and he's yours, he says to Dr. Marco. As much as I would like to see Colapinto on the grid in 2025, the last thing he needs at this stage of his career is having Max Verstappen as his teammate. As far as Alpine's interest is concerned, with Barracuda on board, and that would be Flavio Briatore, this should not surprise many, just as Pupo, a driver also known as Roberto Moreno. The Boulevard of Broken Dreams adds another mile and name every time Max has a new teammate. Mr. Rogers, you have seen what a rookie can do to rattle the cage of an established, not just a world champion, but a double world champion. What do you think Max will do to Colapinto if they were teammates?
Well, it would be pretty ugly. I'm sure he's getting good advice to not even consider Red Bull unless he has some serious beliefs in his ability. But I haven't seen anything like that. So, yeah, you don't want to be. Just ask Perez or anybody else. You don't want to be that guy. Ask Rubinho. His book's coming out pretty soon. So, yes, Colapinto, and I'm sure he's got good advisors, is not going to Red Bull. That's poppycock. I mean, these days, I think I just read that Bottas is going to Red Bull. So, who knows what's going on, Nas?
Speedcafe.com concluded their story by saying, the Australian has sacrificed himself for the team in the hope of being rewarded with an F1 race drive. And so far that remains true. A change in that scenario now would be wholly unfair to the 21-year-old, though entirely in keeping with Alpine's track record of managing its junior drivers. Quite a zinger from land down under. Flavio being Flavio can solve this issue by paying for a season of IndyCar racing for Jack Doohan, something he should have done for another of his drivers who turned out to be a dark knight in white satin and brought down the wall and the curtain on Bravo Bravo. Looks like Alpine definitely has an issue handling their drivers. What say you?
It's gotten a little brutal over there, but they have so many problems beneath, in the undertow, so to speak, so it's hard to judge. I'm not even sure if Flavio is in full control. I mean, he's hanging out, but he is a little bit old, and I do feel bad for Doohan. I mean, he's been hanging out, waiting, and sometimes that doesn't pay in Formula One. You have to be a little more proactive and aggressive. So, I don't know. I just don't see Colapinto once again going to such a disorganized group of people, even though, yes, they were on the podium in the last Grand Prix, and it was very exciting. Yes, I'm saying that Colapinto is surrounded by intelligent people, and he's not going to do some of the big mistakes of the past.
Okay, sir, as we all know, only a few races remain before Lewis will be seen in a red dress. Ferrari red, that is. And Toto heard it through the Spanish grapevine. According to Toto Wolff, he started hearing rumblings and rumors that Lewis will be leaving 2 weeks before the driver broke the news to him. And he said he got information from Carlos Sainz Sr. what's happening at Ferrari, and Toto, being a good friend, or so he thought, of Frederick Vasseur, sent him a text message. And we all know how important these are in Formula One. But Toto said he never got a response. And then Lewis came to his house 2 weeks before the announcement and told him, a few days before the announcement, and told him. You know, interestingly, in Austin, I was talking to an F1 insider whom I've known for many years, and he said they knew around November what was going down. So, interesting how things move on. But we wish everybody all the best, and let's see what 2025 brings. Right now, we face the Willie Horton revolving door, now coming to Formula One. F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali has confirmed some of the 10 races on the schedule will be rotated in future. This is based on high demand from circuits to host an F1 event. Most likely, and hopefully, venues like Silverstone, Spa, and Monza will not be affected, but looks like Spa may be affected, which will be a shame. Last thing I want to see in my lifetime, Monza replaced by a street race in Mogadishu. Oh, please, por favore. Now check this out. This is old news. This year's end-of-season FIA Gala will be held in the new burning sensation of motor racing, Rwanda. Question is, why hold such an event in Cali or Paris when Kigali is available? Quite possibly rated #1 destination city by American Express travel-related services. Thank you very much. Okay, sir. This season has been full of surprises, slings and arrows. Now we have Lancing Stroll. Peter Windsor called Lance Stroll a disgrace after the Sao Paulo Grand Prix crash on the opening lap. Gunther Steiner also drilled Lance a new one by saying, and I quote, "He never looks happy. He never seems to be happy. Whatever happens. Would he be a world champion if he was happy? I don't know about that one. Some people can be good even when they're unhappy." End quote. While his teammate has gone 3 races without scoring a point, Lance has handsomely outperformed Machismo by not scoring a point in the previous 8 races. Their total score right now is Machismo 62, Lance 24, and Lance is behind Hülkenberg, Tsunoda, and Gasly. But I don't think anybody calling him names or throwing slings and arrows or zingers will make any difference. Blood is thicker than BS, and Papa Stroll, I think, is going to do anything and everything to see if Lance can become world champion. And what a day that will be. Now we come to Mick Schumacher missing the F1 boat. Mattia Binotto used to work with his papa, and Mick used to be in the Ferrari Driver Academy. They took very good care of him and gave him 2 full seasons in Formula One. This day and age, young drivers are expected to hit the ground running no later than the 3rd race of their season, or questions are being asked or vultures are circling. So if you are doing almost 40 races in Formula One, highlight of which is one crash after another, or the total inability in the racing community to outqualify your teammate, here's looking at you, Logan. Chances are awfully good you are not F1 material. Mick is already in the Alpine WEC program, World Endurance Championship program. I am sure they are paying him a pretty penny, like that means anything to him. As far as I'm concerned, here is a golden opportunity for Penske Entertainment to find a seat in Indy cars for Mick Schumacher. The last name will raise the international profile of the series to a new level, just like Mansell did when he crossed the pond after winning the F1 championship. We saw the irrational exuberance of the domestic and international media when one of Michael Schumacher's rivals raced in the 500. Who could that be? Oh yes, sí señor, the one and only muy macho hombre de España. The late Robin Miller and the current IndyCar reporter Marshall Pruitt both have lamented on lack of marketing efforts on part of IndyCar racing. Do you think the name Schumacher will add some sizzle to the series, or is Hailie Deegan the future of IndyCar racing?
Ha! Well, Hailie Deegan could become a superstar, but we know better than that. You know, Mick Schumacher going to IndyCar is perfect. It's a perfect fit. He could even just drive the road courses, which some people do, and it would be awesome. It would bring the Germans on board. Oh, it would be such a coup. And I'm really disappointed that the captain has not come up with this concept himself. But yes, you need to start talking to people over there, Nasir, because you are the man.
Sir, now we come to some serious business. Kali cartel on the F1 circuit. This report is from Mr. Ralph Bach, an experienced and respected German journalist for a German website called sport1.de. According to him, U.S. investigators are now targeting Mercedes boss Toto Wolff, Aston Martin owner Lawrence Stroll, as well as Red Bull team boss Christian Horner, and Liberty's Formula One boss Signor Stefano Domenicali. According to him, all 4 arrived at the U.S. Grand Prix in Austin with personal lawyers. And apparently officers from Department of Justice were also there, and they were not there for the Sting concert. Apparently there is evidence to be available in the form of a WhatsApp group involving the above-mentioned F1 head honchos, where they were discussing and scheming how to keep Andretti out of the Piranha pool, which will prove that this is an illegal agreement. They basically don't want any outsider to take a bite of their prize money and have come up with one lousy excuse after another, and this is just my personal opinion. This behavior has also attracted the attention of European lawmakers. A Belgian member of European Parliament, Pascal Arimont, called on the European Commission to investigate Liberty Media arguing that the Formula One owner may have violated European competition law. And Liberty Media's acquisition of MotoGP, or the parent company Dorna, which is based in Spain, is also under scrutiny at this time. Now, sir, some sad news. Bobby Allison passed away on Saturday, and he was one of the big names in NASCAR history and a part of what they call the Alabama gang. He retired in 1988. He had a very serious crash at Pocono, and I was watching that race, and he was extremely lucky to survive that accident. But there was a lot of tragedy in his family, which was very sad. He had a son by the name of Clifford. He was injured during a crash and died from that when he was racing in the Busch Series at Michigan International Speedway. And then this was in 1992, and a year later, the other son, Davey, who was doing very well in NASCAR, driving the Texaco car, he was killed while trying to land his helicopter at Talladega. And when I was at Talladega a few weeks ago, I did ask the tour guide to show me the place where his helicopter crashed, and of course it's in the infield section. But the sad part is, and he brought this up, that for whatever reason, the track has not put up any plaque or memorial to Davey Allison, which is very, very surprising because the family is from Alabama. So that was kind of disappointing. Now, sir, we move to Mike at Mercedes. The Mercedes-AMG Formula One team has recruited karting legend Mike Wilson this year to help develop the youngest of its junior drivers. Mike Wilson, we interviewed him once upon a time. He won World Championship in karting many times. And at one time, his services were also engaged by a Canadian billionaire who wanted him to train his son in go-karting. And right now, according to Pedro de la Rosa, this kid is about to unleash his immense talent in Formula One. Can't wait for that day, Pedro. On the other hand, Red Bull has signed Tom Coronel's young son to their junior program. So a lot of second generation, third generation people coming through the system. Okay, sir, before we go into Motorsports Mondial, why don't we invite Mr. Myles Rowe to the palatial studios? He is being helped by Mr. Roger Penske, and this year he is racing in his second season of Indy NXT. So my thanks to Myles and also to his dad, Wayne, for hanging out with me at Barber Motorsports Park recently, and I hope listeners enjoy this chat with Myles Rowe. Thank you. Okay, folks, back with Mr. Myles Rowe. Myles, good to see you in Bama. How is the off-season going for Mr. Myles Rowe?
Hey, glad to see you again. I'm really enjoying the off-season. It's been really fun getting to see friends again, and kind of things haven't slowed down quite yet. They will after this test is done in Alabama, but everything's been really good so far. Been able to get back on social media a little bit and kind of work on some creative stuff there and everything, because I tried to take that out of my focus as the season was in session. So it's going really good. I'm really enjoying it so far.
This was your second and final test for this season. Between the two tests, how do you feel? How has it gone, the whole thing? And what are the expectations for 2025?
I'm really excited for 2025. I mean, I'm really enjoying the Able Motorsports group. It already feels like I'm part of the family, and it's just really, really satisfying and enjoying to just work with them day in, day out. And the two tests we were in so far, the car has been really, really good. Communication with my engineer Kent has been just phenomenal, and like I said, the car has just been phenomenal as well. I think we ended up P1 in both tests, and so we just simply are just looking to build more momentum through next year. But we had a great start to the start of the testing season, and we're really looking forward to keeping on working together.
Mr. Clint Eastwood had a movie called Good, Bad, and the Ugly, but since you are an Elvis Presley fan, the question is, with a Presley perspective, how will you describe your 2024 Indy NXT rookie season? Jailhouse Rock, Heartbreak Hotel, or Hunka Hunka Love?
I'd say Jailhouse Rock. It was really cool. I think because even though it wasn't what I wanted in terms of results, there was a lot of great racing that I had being in mid pack. When we were struggling with the performance of the car, and it really was. We were dancing out there with making a lot of different moves. Defending, overtaking. And all of this stuff, kind of in the middle of the pack, not where we wanted to be, and it was I didn't get down really at all. I was really pumped every day. I woke up enthused to be driving, and I think it was a whole vibe, honestly, throughout the season, just working with the engineer. Like I said, the performance of the car wasn't there, so it was a little bit disappointing, but I don't think it took away from the natural vibe of just going back and forth, traveling and everything. This was the year that I traveled the most. Last year, I remember on Delta, so I'm a Delta medallion member, and so last year I hit my platinum medallion status. The last one's diamond. Platinum's right before diamond, and I hit it in December, after Christmas, and I've been at platinum now since July or something. It's the most I traveled ever in my life in a year, and it really was very cool. Definitely very Jailhouse Rock, very upbeat.
Very good, very good. Okay, but instead of finding a wooden chair, you have a partner from Brazil, right?
Yeah, I do. Yes. I have Antonia. Antonia's my partner for Brazil. Yeah, we're actually going with friends this year to Brazil, and it's going to be really, really fun. We've been trying to plan this trip for about 3 or 4 years, so yeah, I'm going with my girlfriend Antonia, and all of our friends, about 4 or 5 of them, are coming with us to Brazil this year, and we're going to have a blast. It's going to be really fun.
Great. Now, I was at your preseason test at Indy, and you were very competitive. Once the season started, how long it took to feel very comfortable with the new car and more power?
Yeah, I don't think it ever was a situation, for me, I don't think it was ever a situation of getting comfortable with the car, besides in the first test, the Chris Griffiths test in 2023. That was the only day I was uncomfortable in the car. I just think we lacked performance in setting up and balancing the car correctly in the season. Yeah, because even I'm not taking anything for granted here. Anything can happen next season, just like it did last season, because we had great tests. Even here at Barber last season in 2023, we finished P2. But the car was balanced. It was performing well. But it dropped off once we started the season. And I think it's just about making sure we keep the car consistent in terms of balance and performance to make sure we can extract the right results. But I think I've been comfortable ever since the first day.
Okay, now this next season, 2025, you have a new team. Last year it was a new team in a new series. Was that an added challenge that you had to overcome?
I don't think the new series was a challenge. The team, it boils down to communication at the end of the day. Even you can take me out of it, just communication with all the different engineers, whether everyone's on a cohesive thought pattern, and if they're not, what do we do about it? How do we get everyone in cohesive thought? Things like that. The same kind of situation with me and my engineer, same kind of situation with the driver coach there. There's too many variables involved to have clear communication, to have an efficient program with myself at least. And yeah, I like I said, I think that's just the nature of how the team was. There was a lot of personnel on the team, and that was a big reason for the switch to Able, was just to keep things a little bit simpler by reducing the size of personnel and having a very cohesive vision between the whole team, mechanics, engineers, drivers, of what we want to accomplish.
In the opening round, you had a top 10 finish. What was the biggest difference racing on a street circuit in a faster and bigger car compared to the USF Pro 2000 car you drove to championship success last year?
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good technical question. I think a big thing was once you get tires warm and everything kind of settles in. It's pretty standard, your standard way of braking, however the car is supposed to be used and such. It's more like any next car or the bigger cars versus the smaller ones. It's the cold tires really that get you, first of all, coming out the pits. It's a different procedure, how you attack the brake zones, how you attack mid-corner accelerating. And then also like restarts. I got caught out. I think I was in P4 or P5 on a restart, and I couldn't get my tires, keep temping my tires. There's a different way you keep temping tires in the bigger cars than in the smaller cars. And that's something that could have made my result in St. Pete a lot better. And yeah, so like that's a big thing. I think it's just the way you keep temperature in the tire, for sure, is going to change your whole weekend. How you do it in practice, quali, and the race, it dictates everything.
Okay, after 5 successive top 10 finishes, beautiful Road America circuit was the first race where you did not finish in the top 10. I think you got involved in Let's Get Physical with another driver. Can we get a little background on this situation, please?
Road America was kind of where things started to kind of, as some people say, fall apart or not go the right way. It started with, I got tagged from behind going into turn 1 at Road America. I think I was in the top 10 somewhere like P8 or something like that. And so that took us out of the race. And then I forget what the next race after. I think Laguna was after that. We got a puncture in Laguna. We had a good finish there, but then everything just spiraled from there. We got taken out the last 3 or 4 races after that, like Iowa and I forgot what race was after Laguna, but there was a good few after those where I just was a bystander and really couldn't do much. Some of the races or the qualifying sessions I could have done something to make my performance a bit better, but in the grand scheme, the amount of situations where we were in that we couldn't control from just other people being around us and not treating us respectfully or just being in the wrong place at the wrong time just ended up making the season spiral into not getting the results we wanted, sort of a thing. But I think at the end of the day, it all boiled down to the performance of the car and just the ability to extract that performance. We just weren't where we needed to be in the pack and the races, and that's why we were in those situations. So the goal this year is to just, make sure we execute in qualifying so that, we eliminate all those problems.
Speaking of Laguna Seca, how much fun is tumbling down the corkscrew in a racing car?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's so fun. I mean, one thing that makes it so fun is it's the rise into the corkscrew that makes it scary because you're going uphill and then you hit this massive downhill, but there's a little crest before you do that. So when you're trying to break deep into the corkscrew, it's almost like you're going to fly like into just nothingness. So it's not even the drop that's really makes the corkscrew that special. It's just the whole approach itself in general. It's a very, very technical corner. It's heavy braking, but there's a big crest, so you got to watch how heavy you brake, and then you got to make sure you get on power hard, but then there's a big, hill and everything, and it's not a straight launch off. You got to still be weaving and setting up for the next corner after. It's quite a technical corner, and I think that's what makes it fun for everyone that gets to drive it.
Okay. How did the oval races go for you in a bigger and faster car?
Yeah, I really liked the ovals. We had good performance in the tests. And I think we had really good performance in the races. Like I said, a common thing, we just didn't have the car performance in practices and qualifying sessions. So some of the races, we were, like in Iowa, we were caught out at the wrong time. Gateway, we had a spin. Same with Milwaukee. And Nashville, we were really fast. Fast in Iowa, too. Nashville, we were fast, but we got a puncture from a front wing. So just one of those, the ovals were a big part of just wrong place, wrong time, and just little things out of your control, kind of dictating the results. But I think I really took to the ovals in my personal opinion from everything that all the data we looked at and all the video we looked at. I'm very happy with everything on the ovals and looking to naturally improve the results. But I'm really looking forward to the races on the ovals, preferably from the front. I think will be really, really cool.
Very nice. Now, I've noticed a couple of IndyCar teams have a lot of cars, and you had quite a few teammates this past season. Did that help in data sharing, or did you feel the team was thinly spread out with so many drivers?
Yeah, I think it was cool. One of the reasons why I went on HMD in the first place was because my introduction to Formula Car racing was the Lucas Oil School of Racing, and it was their Formula series that I did my first open wheel races in. And so that was a series where you get to see all of the competition's data and video. You can't hide anything. Everyone sees everything. And so my mindset going into my Indy NXT season in 2024 was just try to just be somewhere where I have a massive amount of information for me to absorb and soak up and learn. And so I think it did really help because there's a lot of talented drivers on HMD. I mean, we have half the field, or they have half the field now. Like, it wasn't hard to get information because they all do a good job of hooking up to whatever program they have to make sure we see it. And I learned a lot just from looking at different styles and things. And like I said, I'm really glad I went on HMD. Just even learning how to work in a bigger environment and things like that, and working with people who you aren't quite familiar with. Like, there was a good few people on a race weekend, you see, and you don't get to talk to really all that much. And and that was something that was a little foreign to me, but I had to learn how to do. Same thing with like seeing different driving styles on data and learning which ones to choose from, and not getting too caught up in it, and making sure you keep it simple and things like that. I think there was a lot of big lessons learned from just having excessive information, excessive personnel to take with me. I think it's made me a much more professional driver now.
Okay, great. Now, recently you did a 10-top race in GT4, I believe, at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. How did that experience go? And I would love to see you at Daytona 24 hours and Sebring 12 hours. What are the chances of that happening?
Yeah, the Indy race in the SRO GT4 America series was really good. I was racing with Rotec Racing, which is owned by Rob Holland, he's a legend in sports car racing, and my co-driver was Isaac Sherman, who's a really good pilot, and we finished P3 for one of our races, P4 for another race. So we got on the podium in Indy, which was really cool. I had little to no seat time in the car, which made it extremely cool. And yeah, they really liked everything, how I came into the team and everything, and I was so pumped after the weekend. Like any opportunities I have to run those different championships, the 24 hours of Daytona, especially 12 hours of Sebring. I love Sebring so much. The track is amazing. I would do it in an instant. I love sports car racing. It was not what I expected, honestly, but in all the best of ways. And I really hope I can do a lot more in the future.
I really appreciate your time. And final question is the most important. With a new team where you're feeling very good, second year in the season, in the championship, will 2025 be Viva Las Vegas?
It will be Viva Las Vegas. We will be having a great time.
Thank you so much and all the best.
Thank you.
Man, great seeing you.
Yeah, really good.
Myles, thanks for joining F1Weekly.com. On that note, Nas, why don't we get a little break, a little thirst quencher, and we'll be back after these brief messages.
Hi, my name is Linus Lundqvist, and you're listening to F1 Weekly.
Welcome back to F1Weekly.com. Clark Rogers here, your host. And now, as we spin the globe and go around the world with Motorsports Mondial and the king, the Swami himself, Nasir Hamid.
Greetings and racing regards. Today we have championship deciders from Nihon to Phoenix, Arizona. The Japanese Super Formula season finale was at Suzuka, dominating and double the pleasure for Kakunoshin Ota, who won both races of the weekend, so good for him. Big and championship winner was Sho Suboi. His second place and final race of the season secured the title. Like Formula 2 and many other series around the world, cars in Japanese Super Formula are built by Dallara, and they have engines either from Honda or Toyota. And Mr. Ralph Schumacher and our friend Pedro de la Rosa also raced there, and several other European drivers have raced in this series. Now, the other big championship was in our favorite series, Le NASCAR. After thousands and thousands of miles, hundreds of cautions and more stages than a NASA rocket, the season finale took place in dry heat of Arizona. Joey Logano, driving for Mr. Penske, took his third championship win, which I understand is also third straight championship for a Penske driver. In other NASCAR news, FedEx is out, absolutely positively. The race marked the end of 20-year FedEx sponsorship for Denny Hamlin and Joe Gibbs racing team. Once upon a time, their main rival UPS were also a NASCAR sponsor, and they were brought in to NASCAR by a chap named Zach Brown. Mr. Rogers, I heard a rumor you watch each and every lap of the race. Say it isn't so.
Yes, Nasir. That's what we call fake news. These races are impossible to watch. The crashing, it's too much. The lucky dog is always fun, but I'm afraid that Le NASCAR is not on le schedule.
No, sir, some humor. Wonder of Web. Thanks to Wonder of Web. An enthusiast has put out a video on YouTube called every F1 team explained in 14 minutes. It's pretty funny, I think. He has assigned one word to each team. For Aston Martin, the word is stroll. The word for Red Bull is toxic, and for the most successful team in Formula One history, according to him, one word that defines them is idiots. And now, sir, some late-breaking news. Formula One raising the sponsorship bar. This morning I received a press release from Formula One, which will help end the on a sweet note. Formula One welcomes Kit Kat as its official chocolate bar partner. Wonder if Musketeers will partner with NASCAR. And sir, before we go into Musical Mondial, let's have our second chit-chat of the week. And this is with a young kid from New Zealand, Callum Hedge. He is a mighty fine young man, a mighty fine racing driver, and he is helped by Mr. Steve Horn, who some of our listeners will remember used to be team principal at Red Roof in True Sport team, with which Bobby Rahal won the 1986 Indy 500. So my thanks to Callum, and he was kind enough to invite me for another interview at the season opener in St. Petersburg. And you know, we don't miss such opportunities. So please enjoy this conversation with young man from New Zealand, Callum Hedge. Okay, folks, I'm here in beautiful Barber Motorsports Park with Mr. Callum Hedge, all the way from New Zealand. Callum, good to meet you. How are you today, and how is the session going?
Yeah, thanks. Nice to see you. Day so far has been okay. I didn't really get to drive in Barber very much last year on the race weekend, and I didn't do the test prior to that either, so I've been a little bit behind on mileage around the circuit, just sort of adapting to the car, still working with the new team, new environment. All signs are feeling positive, just need to go out there and do a better job.
What's your first impression of this beautiful place?
I think driving in and seeing the presentation of the circuit and how well it's done is really good. It reminds me a lot of a circuit at home called Highlands, which is actually owned by one of my sponsors, Tony Quinn Foundation. It's got the museum and got some artwork around the circuit and stuff like that. And it's got a cool backdrop with all the trees and the forestry around.
Cool. Okay, you're from Auckland, which was also hometown of Mr. Bruce McLaren. How old were you when you got the racing fever?
I was about 5 or 6 years old. Started off actually having a bit of fun with engines and vehicles and stuff like that when I was 2, riding quad bikes. So had a lot of fun back when I was young. I have vivid memories of Dad pulling the cable on the back of the quad bike so that I didn't go too fast. It was one of those yellow Suzuki quads that are super tiny, super slow. So that was sort of my introduction, and then I was playing rugby at the time. I wasn't very great at rugby and I wasn't very great at go-karting, but I was enjoying the go-karting more and stuck with it.
Before moving to the US, you won the championship in karting, Formula 1600 and Toyota Finance 86. Give us a little background on best memories from each championship.
Yeah, I got some super fond memories of go-karting. I think learned a lot there, grew up a lot. Didn't really get to do as much international go-karting as I would have liked. I sort of really stayed New Zealand side and didn't venture too far out. We just never really got the opportunity to go further abroad and test my skills against the big dogs. So moving into cars at a pretty young age, when I was actually banned from Kartsport New Zealand for 6 months.
What did you do?
Not me. You can ask my dad that question. He got a bit upset with one of the officials and they banned me instead of him. So, moving on from there, sort of race Ssangyong Utes for a few years just as a bit of fun to keep racing. Got a bit of support to move into Formula 1600. Winning that championship, then what I always wanted to do was actually race GT cars. So from there I moved into Toyota 86, which is now GR Cup over here. There's a similar vehicle, the previous generation car. Winning that championship as well, and then moving on into Porsches to race Porsche for 3 years, and then trying some single-seater stuff back out in 2023, and had a super successful 2023. So I'd say that's probably the best time for me in my career and my racing. That was a crazy, hectic year. I learned so much, had so much fun, and just to get opportunities to go and do stuff that I didn't know was possible for me, and then been able to step up to Indy NXT with the support of HRC.
Toyota, they also had this Toyota Racing Series, which is now Formula Regional. Is Toyota really big and like the most popular brand in New Zealand?
For car manufacturers, 100%. Toyota's probably, it has to be our biggest manufacturer.
And in terms of sales also?
I would say so, yes.
Same here, very big here. Okay, last year you won the Formula Regional Americas with 13 wins out of 18 races. Was this domination a pleasant surprise or pre-planned? And let's see how humble you are.
Yeah, like the goal was to go out there and realistically, if I was good enough, I had to be winning as many races as I did. You see the guys that have come through that series like Linus Lundqvist, Kyle Kirkwood, Rao Hymans, etc. They won the series with that level of success. So if I wanted to test myself against them, then I had to have similar or better. So that was where it was.
Is your success here in the US getting good coverage back home?
Yes, it's just very hard to watch back home, especially with the time zone difference. Like a lot of our races, not only in FR but also in Indy NXT this 2024 season, the races are at 2 or 3 in the morning. So a lot of people are asleep. A lot of people are. It's also very hard to watch as well. It's stuck behind a subscription paywall, and not a lot of people are going to get up at 2 or 3 in the morning. A lot of people look at the results and follow me through my social media and stuff like that, but I would say not a lot of them are up at 3 in the morning watching the race.
Yeah. Okay, last year you also won the Australian Porsche Carrera Cup. That's a lot of frequent flyer miles going from here to there. Do you feel more comfortable in single-seaters or tin tops?
A bit of both. I just enjoy driving. At the end of the day, I'm a racer. That's who I am at heart. I just like to drive cars, whether that's a Porsche, whether it's an Indy Lights car, it could be a dirt midget on an oval, stuff like that. I just love my racing, love my sim racing, and just live and breathe it.
Great. Most young drivers from around the world go to jolly old England in pursuit of Formula One. What made you skip the European scene and move to this side of the pond?
I think I have a bit more passion, a bit more love for IndyCar. I think I personally enjoy the atmosphere over here. America's a great country. The people are great. They've been super hospitable for me. The racing's not very political. At the end of the day, we just don't have the funding to be over in Europe competing over there. It's for where I'm at in my career. I just don't think it's possible. Like I'm 20 years old now. Maybe I'm still somewhat younger. I'm the youngest in the Able Motorsports team here, but over there that's quite old. You need to be moving into Formula 2 at 17, 18 years old, and just missed the boat there.
No, a smart decision on your part. In the 2024 Indy NXT Championship, you finished 4th, and I believe you were 2nd in the rookie standings. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being best, how would you rate your season?
Personally, I'd probably rate my season a 4. I expected, if you'd asked me where I was going to finish, I would have said 4th, but I would have said 4th, but closer to the top 3, and also with a bit more success, potentially a race win, a few more podiums. So for me, I was very dissatisfied only having 1 podium and really struggling to actually, when I did a good job, getting a top 5 for me wasn't enough. That's not the standard I set for myself, and I go out every time trying to be winning or at least in the top 3.
How is the depth of competition in Indy NXT compared to drivers in Formula Regional, which is a fairly new series here in the US?
A lot higher, I would say. I would say almost every single person on this grid today could have gone into Formula Regional and done what I did in last season. I think these cars are super fast, super technical. They grow up driving these cars, driving these tracks, especially as you go through what was Road to Indy, now USF Pro. You go through USF 2000, USF Juniors, USF Pro 2000. So by the time they get into Indy NXT, they all have 4 or 5 years experience. So for me to come over here without that experience and get thrown straight into Indy NXT is a credit to the people that have got me here. They believed in me, and I wouldn't have been able to achieve what I have without them.
How was your experience in racing on ovals like Iowa and Milwaukee?
I had a blast. I wasn't 100% convinced on the idea, but I sort of grew a new love for oval racing and formula cars on ovals. When I went and watched the Indy 500, actually, it really blew me away, that race. not by the speed, the crowd. It's the combination of everything. It was almost a little bit emotional, the race. I thought it was that good. So that sort of lit a little fire in my belly where I said, okay, I need to be on that grid at least one time in my career. So that's what we're here trying to do.
The last 10 laps of Indy 500 are intensity I've never seen anywhere. What do you think?
It's the best race. There's no race that compares to it. Nothing.
Okay, in 2025, winning the championship is, I'm sure, your goal. What have you learned in season one that will help you most in your second season? And who do you see as your main challengers for the title?
Yeah, obviously the goal is to go and win the championship. If I want to have a realistic chance of stepping into IndyCar, winning the championship and receiving the scholarship to actually make that step, I think is the only way to go about it. If I come second, third, the realistic chances of me being able to move up are slim. So given everything I've got to make that happen, I learnt a lot in 2024. I didn't really do any of the pre-season and post-season testing with a combination of my busy program and my appendicitis and all other things that went around. So coming into the season, I didn't really have many mileage, sort of grew with the car, grew with the team, made some mistakes, crashed, went off, learnt a lot of things about the Firestone tyre and how to drive this car quick, and also just getting my physical strength and fitness up to a level where I was able to drive the car at a competent level was quite big.
Now, there's a gentleman here from New Zealand, Steve Horn, who was involved with Bobby Rahal's team, and they won the Indy 500. Is he part of your management or sponsors?
Yep, he's actually both. So he co-owns a management company in New Zealand called M2 Competition Management with another gentleman called Mark Pocher, who spent a few years over here working in Forsyth. The combination of those two works really well. Without what Steve and Mark Pocher have done for me in the last 20 or so months, without them I wouldn't be standing here talking to you right now.
Well, based on what you have done, your talent and the good people you have around you, I'm sure you'll make it to IndyCar racing. Question I have, when you get there, what is more important to you, winning the Indy 500 or the Indy Championship?
I think for me, going in there, the goal is probably not to be winning. The goal is to actually get in, get there, be on my feet, make a career, make a name for myself, and then once I'm driving at a level and performing at a level where I feel I have the tools to go out and win a championship, I think for me that's what I would like to go and do. Go win the championship, secure yourself as a player on the IndyCar grid, make yourself permanent, and then once I feel permanent and comfortable, then we'll go and chase that Indy 500 win.
Well, one of the greatest names in IndyCar racing right now is from your country. Are you friends with Scott Dixon?
Yeah, I've spoken with Scott a little bit. He's given me a fair bit of advice. I'm actually due to call him over the next few days. I've been putting it off. Need to call him and ask for a few more tips.
Speaking of New Zealand, are you friends with number 30 in Formula One, a chap from Hastings, NZ?
Number 30 in Formula One, Mr. Liam Lawson.
Si, senor.
Yeah, I've known Liam since I was probably 7 years old. We're not close friends, but whenever we walk by each other, shake hands, chat for maybe 5-10 minutes and be on our way. He's friendly with everyone back home. Obviously only with 5 million people, it's pretty much everyone knows everyone at home in New Zealand. So yeah, word travels quickly every time we catch up. It's a good chat, but we're sticking to our own things and only talk really when we catch up in summer.
I appreciate your time and thank you so much. Final question, can you tell our listeners about, and we have listeners in New Zealand also, believe it or not, can you tell them about your social media or your website?
Yeah, so you can find me both on Facebook and Instagram at Callum Hedge. That's my tag. You can follow my website. That's callumhedge.com. And yeah, that's about it really.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Callum, thanks for joining F1Weekly.com. Let's wrap it up, Nas.
And folks, finally we come to Musical Mondial. Today we have a very nice piece of music from the mind of Senor, or should I say Monsieur Francis Lay, Clark Rogers' fellow Francais. He wrote music for a lot of movies. One of them was Love Story. And another very famous tune is, I think it's in French, but I think it means Live for Life. So please enjoy some work from Mr. Francis Lay. And we will see you next week behind palatial walls. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night.